What if I told you that the most powerful asset you own isn't your company, your product, or even your service? It's you. Your personality, your story, and even your face. And that's why personal branding isn't just a nice to have anymore. It's the difference between struggling to find clients and having high quality leads book calls with you every single day. Hi, my name is Lanzi and I founded Lanzi Media. In just 6 months, I've grown my LinkedIn followers to over 10,000 people with a single post sometimes generating over 20 sales calls in a single day. But the thing is, this isn't some magical talent I was born with. Just like you, I started with 0 connections, 0 followers, and I was terrified of putting myself out there. Look at the biggest names in business today. Elon Musk, Alex Hormozi, Gary Vee, and even Iman Gadzhi. They all prioritize their personal brands because they understand it's essentially their business card. You won't trust someone with a cheap, flimsy business card, would you? The same applies for your digital presence. In this video, I'm gonna break down the psychological principles that make personal brands 10 times more effective than faceless corporate accounts and show you exactly how to use these principles to create a personal brand that attracts high-quality clients on autopilot. I'll also show you proof that this isn't just about vanity metrics. My clients are seeing real results, some scaling from $0 to 10K, some from 10K to 50K and beyond. The first is the trust gap. One of the biggest psychological barriers potential clients face is what I call the trust gap. It's that uncertainty about whether you can actually deliver on what you promise. And this is where most marketing completely fails. When I first started my agency, I was obsessed with cold calling and cold emailing, because I was told that was the only way to land clients. I'd spend hours scraping contact lists, rehearsing scripts, and sending hundreds of messages. I even practiced my cold calling pitch in the mirror like a scene from Wall Street. I was convinced this is how real business was done. But then something interesting happened. Call after call, email after email, I just kept hitting walls. People weren't just saying no, they were actively avoiding me. One prospect actually told me, "I don't know you from Adam. Why would I trust you with my business?" And that hit me hard because I knew he was right. I was a faceless name in an inbox of random voices on the phone. There was 0 trust. And meanwhile, I had this client who was killing it on LinkedIn. She wasn't cold calling anyone. She had leads coming to her every single day. And her secret was people already knew, liked her, and trusted her before they ever spoke. And this brings us to the first psychological principle, the trust bias. Research from Harvard Business School shows that people are 76% more likely to engage with content from an individual they can see and relate to versus a corporate brand. This happened because our brains are literally wired to recognize faces and build connections with other human beings, not with logos. When someone sees your face consistently in their feed, sharing valuable insights, their brain starts to release small amounts of oxytocin. This is the same chemical responsible for bonding and trust. They begin to feel like they know you, even though you've never met. And this is called the parasocial relationship development. And it's the same psychological mechanism that makes us feel connected to the TV characters or even celebrities we see on social media. By putting yourself forward as the face of your business, you're not just creating content, you're triggering deep-seated psychological processes that build trust before you ever speak to a prospect. Okay, but what if you're not an established expert? Many people believe they need decades of experience before they can start a personal brand. And this is what I call the authority paradox. And it might be one of the most damaging myths in business today. When I first considered posting on LinkedIn, honestly, I was terrified. Who was I to share advice? I hadn't built $1 million business. I hadn't worked with Fortune 500 companies. I haven't been mentioned by Forbes. I just had my experience and my observations. For weeks, I've consumed content without creating any. I analyzed my top competitors' posts. I studied their posts, their engagement patterns, their content strategies, but I still couldn't pull the trigger on posting myself. And then I realized something that changed everything. I noticed that the most engaging creators weren't necessarily the ones with the most impressive credentials. They were the ones who shared authentic journeys and genuinely helpful insights. So I decided to try an experiment. I committed to posting once a week for a month, focusing on not portraying myself as some guru, but sharing my genuine experiences and observations. I also committed to leaving 30 thoughtful comments daily on posts from my ideal clients. The results shocked me. Within 2 weeks, I had leads coming in. People weren't asking me about my credentials or how long I've been in business. They were responding to the value I was providing and my authentic approach to content. This leads us to the second psychological principle, the consistency effect. Studies show that people don't primarily judge expertise based on credentials. They judge it based on consistency of valuable content. When you show up consistently in someone's feed, providing insights and value, their brain automatically assigns you as an authority status. This is why newcomers who post consistently can often build more influence than industry veterans who post once a month. The psychological mechanism at work here is called the mere exposure effect. The more we're exposed to someone or something, the more we tend to like it and trust them. Combined with valuable content, this creates a powerful authority-building loop that has nothing to do with your years of experience or fancy credentials. The key is consistency and value, not perfection or having all the answers. Your audience doesn't need you to be the world's foremost expert. They need you to be helpful, consistent, and genuine. Next is the ROI misconception. Another massive obstacle I see people struggle with is the belief that personal branding doesn't have a clear ROI compared to other traditional marketing methods. This misconception keeps so many talented people stuck in the endless hamster wheel of cold outreach. Just think about it. Elon Musk, with a net worth of over 330 billion, still tweets hundreds of times a day. Why would someone worth that much spend that much time on building a personal brand? Because they understand we are no longer in the information age. We are in the attention economy. In this era, attention is currency, and the market is irrationally generous to those who know how to get attention and keep it. If people are paying attention to you, they're paying attention to your offer, your message, and your movement. No ad spend, no outreach, just trust built at scale. You can't afford to stay invisible. Not anymore. When I talk to agency owners and consultants, they often tell me I need predictable results. I can measure how many cold calls convert. How do I measure the ROI of posting on LinkedIn? And look, I face this exact dilemma myself. I came from a world where metrics ruled everything. I wanted to know exactly how many posts would equal how many leads. But then I discovered something fascinating. While I was busy trying to measure every metric of my personal brand, something unexpected happened. A CEO of a company I'd never contacted directly reached out to me. Hey, I've been following your content for weeks. I feel like I know how you think and I trust your approach. I don't need a sales pitch, I'm just ready to work with you. And this wasn't an isolated incident. As my personal grew over time, the nature of my sales conversations completely transformed. Instead of spending 45 minutes trying to establish credibility, overcoming all these objections, prospects were coming to me pre-sold. One client even told me, I've read all your LinkedIn posts top to bottom. I don't need any more convincing. I just need to know when we can start. And the results speak for themselves. In just one day, I've had 19 sales calls booked from a single post, with notifications coming in from 9 a.m. all the way to 11 p.m. all without spending a single dime on ads or sending a single cold message. This reveals the third psychological principle, the pre-sold effect. When someone consumes your content over time, they're not just learning about your services, they're undergoing a psychological process of self-selection and pre-commitment. Research from behavior economist Dan Ariely shows that when people invest time in consuming someone's content, they subconsciously place higher value on that person's services. This is called the IKEA effect. Just as people value furniture more when they've invested time and energy in building it, they value your expertise more when they've invested time in consuming it. The ROI of personal branding isn't just in direct conversations. It's in the complete transformation of your entire sales process. Prospects come to you already convinced of your value, which drastically reduces sales friction and increases conversion rates. A traditional cold lead might convert at 2 to 5% after extensive nurturing, but a lead that comes through your personal brand might convert 20 to 30% with minimal resistance, because the relationship is already established before the conversation even happens. Think about it in terms of LinkedIn itself. When you look at a company page versus personal profiles, the difference is staggering. Salesforce, with over 6 million followers, might only get 400 likes on a post. That's the engagement rate of only 0.01%. Meanwhile, their CEO with just 4,000 followers gets significantly higher engagement rates of around 8%. Why? Because a company page feels like a corporate newsletter, while your personal page feels like a text from a friend, one you're excited about, you can open and respond to. Next is the quality misunderstanding. But when personal brands attract low quality leads, this is another major misconception I hear all the time. People worry that being visible to everyone, they attract the wrong prospects. Others think that personal branding just means plastering your face everywhere, but that's not the case at all. I thought that serious, high-paying clients would only come through referrals or highly targeted outreach. But I discovered something so surprising. When I clearly communicated my positioning, my values, and my ICP through my content, an interesting filtering effect happened. Rather than attracting everyone, my content actually repelled the wrong clients while magnetically pulling in the right ones. I remember one post where I specifically spoke about why I don't work with early stage startups. I explained my reasoning clearly and respectfully. And instead of offending people, something fascinating happened. Several clients reached out to me and said, "We appreciate your honesty about who you work with best, and we're looking for exactly the focused attention that you described." Meanwhile, the wrong fit clients self-selected their way out of my pipeline. They never wasted my time with calls that wouldn't go anywhere. This brings us to our fourth psychological principle, the self-selection effect. When you clearly communicate who you are, what you stand for, and who you serve best, you activate a powerful psychological filtering mechanism in your audience. Studies in consumer psychology show that clear positioning doesn't just attract the right people, it actively repels the wrong ones. This happens because humans have a deep psychological need for belonging and alignment. We naturally gravitate towards people and brands that reflect our values and avoid the ones who don't. By building a personal brand with clear positioning, you're not casting a wider net, you're casting a more precise one. And this is why personal branding often leads to higher quality leads than traditional marketing. The leads may be fewer in absolute numbers, but they're pre-qualified through your natural filtering effect of your content. Remember, a small audience of perfectly fit prospects is inherently more valuable than a large audience of mismatched ones. The psychology behind personal branding isn't complicated. It's deeply human. We're wired to connect with faces, not logos. We're designed to trust people we see consistently. We're naturally drawn to authentic journeys over polished corporate jargon. By understanding and leveraging these psychological principles, you can build a personal brand that doesn't just generate leads, it transforms your entire business development process. But the thing is, understanding these principles is just the first step. The real question is, how do you actually implement them in a way that fits your unique personality and business? And that's exactly what I'll cover in my next video, where I'll break down step-by-step content creation framework that helped me get over 20 sales calls from a single LinkedIn post. I'll show you exactly how to create content that triggers all these psychological responses without spending hours on social media every single day. If you found this video helpful, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next one, and drop a comment below with your biggest takeaway. I will be personally reading all the comments below, and I would love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, remember, in a world where everyone is trying to look bigger than they are, the most powerful thing you can be is authentically yourself.